Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Today's presentation is led by me, Eugene Misdale, along with Melissa Curran. We're both COSTARS marketing managers, and Pete Slenkar, who's the Supplier Services Section Program Manager. We'll begin by reviewing how to search for COSTARS contracts, then walk through the road salt contract, and finish with an overview of PAE Marketplace. This session is being recorded and will be posted on our website for those who are unable to attend or who would like to revisit the information that is covered today. First, we'll walk through how to search for COSTARS exclusive contracts, followed by how to find COSTARS enabled statewide contracts. Then we'll provide an overview of the sodium chloride or road salt program. After that, we'll show you how to navigate the PAE Marketplace and point out some helpful resources you can use after today's session. We'll wrap things up for time with questions and answers. To be eligible for a COSTARS membership, an organization must fall within the scope of a local public procurement unit, an LPPU. This generally means a tax-exempt nonprofit organization that uses public funding to purchase supplies and services. It's important to clarify when we use the term member. We're referring to the purchasing entities, not suppliers. Our members include local municipalities, school districts, tax-exempt nonprofit educational and public health institutions, public authorities, either parking, airports, sewer, or water authorities, a tax-exempt nonprofit fire, rescue, or ambulance company, and any entity that receives public funding for the procurement of supplies and services. When we attend a lot of events, we talk with our members. We often hear that many aren't aware of all of the different options between the two types of contracts available through the Department of General Services. COSTARS members can purchase from what's called COSTARS exclusive contracts, and they can also piggyback on statewide COSTARS participating contracts. COSTARS exclusive contracts, it's 36 COSTARS multi-vendor contracts that are available only to COSTARS members. State agencies cannot use these contracts. These contracts provide a wide variety of suppliers and options. We award them to all responsive and responsible bidders, ensuring competitive pricing. Many of the products and services offered can be customized to meet their specific needs. Statewide contracts are designed to meet the procurement needs of state agencies, so they may not always meet the needs of the COSTARS members. Because of this, the supplier section is more focused. There are over 100 statewide contracts that COSTARS members can use. These contracts are competitively priced through the formal bidding process, but they cannot be customized. The product and services must meet the specifications that are listed in the contract. Suppliers awarded statewide contracts can only sell to COSTARS members if they opt into the COSTARS program. By participating, they agree to offer the same pricing and terms to the COSTARS members as they do to state agencies using the contract. I want to highlight what I consider one of the most valuable resources in COSTARS, the Guide to COSTARS Contracts. This is the first resource I turn to when I'm sure that, which contract to explore for a specific material or service. Searching is quick and efficient, especially if you already know the contract number. The guide has recently been updated. You may notice that the statewide contract section now lists many more contracts than before. Previously, we only listed contracts that listed suppliers who are already elected into the COSTARS program. Now we include all statewide contracts that are COSTARS enabled, meaning the parent contract allows the supplier to opt into the program. As a COSTARS member, you'll learn how to determine which statewide contract you can purchase from. If a contract is listed but no suppliers elected into the program, you can reach out to them to encourage them to participate. Many suppliers choose to join after a member's request but it shows them for their potential for the new business opportunity. We'll also make the guide available to you in the post-event email so you can reference it at any time. I'm now going to turn the presentation over to Melissa, who's going to go through and review how to search for contracts. Melissa?
Thanks, Gene. Now that we've talked about the two types of contracts, let's look at how to find the products and services you need. If you're a supplier, this is also a good way to see who your competitors are. So first, we'll go to www.dgs.pa.gov, click on that page, and then click on the COSTARS tile. Next, you'll scroll down and click Member Information. This will take you to a new page as pictured here. On the right side of the screen, click Members area, and that's where we'll start. On the left side of the screen, you'll see a menu. Move your mouse over Search Contracts. This lets you look for COSTARS contracts and statewide contracts. For today, we'll start with a COSTARS contract, but you can choose either one and you do not need to log into Search Contracts. Let's say we're looking for HVAC equipment. Because of the Guide to COSTARS contracts that Gene talked about earlier, we already know which contract to use. HVAC equipment is listed under COSTARS 8 MRO. So in the search area, we'll choose COSTARS 8 from the contract drop-down menu. We always recommend starting your search by contract. It helps you find what you need faster. You can make your search very specific, like choosing a certain brand or dealer, or you can keep it simple and just search Contract 8 MRO. Most of the time, keeping it simple works best. If you don't see any results, try making your search a little broader. For this demo, we've picked HVAC equipment, parts, and accessories under MRO. This helps us focus on one category. And here's a quick tip. After you pick a contract, wait a few seconds before choosing a category. This gives the system time to load and give you the right options for COSTARS 8. Once you've picked everything you want to search by, just click Search. The system will show you a list of suppliers that match your choices. Then you can pick the one you want. Our search found 116 supplier contracts. From this list, you can look at a lot of details for each contract, like contract overview, vendor contract, contract terms, change notices, contract renewal, and the commodity specialist contact for that contract. Let's start by looking at contract overview. This section gives you a quick overview of the contract. In the big description box, you'll see what the MRO contract covers. The overview also shows the COSTARS commodity specialist contact and explains how to make purchases. All orders go directly to the supplier using a purchase order, and you must include the COSTARS contract number on your PO to get the discounted price. This is true for all COSTARS contract purchases. We also recommend printing the contract overview and keeping it with your records. This can be helpful if you ever have an audit. In this document, you'll see a list of suppliers along with their contract numbers, product categories, manufacturers, and the contract award and expiration dates. What you won't see here is pricing or the specific product each supplier offers. Here's a tip. Remember, our search found 116 suppliers. This document is great for narrowing down the list and picking the suppliers you want to ask for quotes, or removing the ones that don't fit your needs. Here's some things to think about when choosing 3 to 4 suppliers. Location. Is the supplier close to you or far away? Service area. Do they provide service in your county? If not, cross them off. Product category. Do they cover the products you need? Manufacturer. Do they offer the brand you need? And contract expiration. Avoid contracts that are ending soon. If the contract expires before you order, you could run into audit issues. Most of these options, except the expiration date, can also be chosen on the search page to make your list smaller from the start. No matter what filters you use, the overview always shows all suppliers on the main contract, not just the ones that matched your search. To see more about a supplier's pricing and any extra services they offer, we look at a vendor contract. This is also called the supplier's bid. This page gives you more details about the vendor. You can see how to contact them for quotes, where to send purchase orders, and other important information you need to make your purchase. Here's a quick heads up. Even if you've been working with a COSTAR supplier for years, always check that their contract is still active before you submit your purchase order. Sometimes a supplier forgets to renew their contract, and we don't want an expired contract to cause problems for you during an audit. We've also asked the supplier some important questions to help you pick your top suppliers for quotes. This gives you an idea of what it'll be like to do business with them. For example, this supplier has no minimum order requirements. The questionnaire also gives us useful info about if shipping is included in the price or costs extra, prompt payment discounts you could get, late payment penalties, and one more thing, look at question number 9. This shows whether you can negotiate with the supplier. Even if they say no, it's always worth asking, they might be flexible. And then this page shows which counties the supplier plans to serve. Here's where you can see the pricing for the new materials, the supplier provides. The prices are listed by manufacturer. For example, this supplier is charging a 15% markup on each of these manufacturer products. And just to remind you, for the last few slides we've looked at, you click on vendor contract in the COSTARS portal to see all of these documents. Once you've picked a few suppliers to negotiate with, you might want to compare prices with statewide contracts if one exists for what you need. Go back to the main COSTARS members area page and click Search Contracts in the menu. This time, choose statewide contracts. It will take you to PAE Marketplace pictured here. Statewide contracts are made for state agencies, so they live in eMarketplace instead of the COSTARS database. As you can see, you can search by lots of different options here too. Looking back at the Guide to COSTARS contracts, we saw that a NASPO MRO contract exists. This is the contract number listed in the guide. We will also send out the Guide to COSTARS contracts PDF in the post-webinar email so you can refer to it anytime. Next, we'll search by contract number, NASPO MRO, and PAE Marketplace. Pay attention to the COSTARS column. Make sure you are comparing prices with suppliers who are offering their statewide pricing to COSTARS members. You cannot purchase from suppliers who aren't authorized for COSTARS use. And just like before, you can always look back at the overview to get more details about the contract. The contract overview shows you the DGS contact information and explains the process to make a purchase. For this contract, suppliers also have provided a Commonwealth dedicated website. After you review the overview, click on the second tab at the bottom to see contact information for each supplier. Remember, only contact suppliers who are participating with COSTARS. Once again, we click on that second tab called Supplier Information. This list shows the contact information you need for each supplier. You also find the dedicated website links for each supplier. And I know that was a lot of information. We'll have a Q&A at the end of the webinar. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. We'll answer them after the presentation. With that, I'll hand the presentation back over to Jean to review the road salt contract.
Thank you, Melissa. Let's look at how to enter our salt agreement for the upcoming season. I know some of the attendees may have been through this before, but we'll cover it step by step. The salt agreements are completely electronic in the members area where you can find the current salt contract and also search for other contracts. Again, we'll start at the dgs.pa.gov. So you click on the COSTARS tile, then you go to the members information tab, and once you're there, you'll click on the members area. You do have to be logged in to access the salt agreement. Once you enter your login information, you'll be brought to this page. You'll notice that only between the beginning of January and March 15th of each year, you will see an orange bar at the top of the members area. Click on that link to get started. And just a reminder, the salt agreement is for COSTARS members only. The LPPUs that we talked about earlier are the ones that use this contract. Now, I think this is a bit mistitled. It's not actually requesting salt like an order. This is a request to participate in the contract season and submit your quantity agreement for the next season. We're going to use an example from a few years ago, but the process is still the same. At the top, you'll see a recap of your organization in the salt contract year. As you can see here, I've already submitted an agreement for 22-23. When you register for a new season, this screen will say not submitted. So let's pretend I haven't submitted it yet, and we'll go through the agreement details. When you start a new registration, the system automatically fills in the same information from the previous SALT registration. For example, the name as the representative of the organization is already filled in because who submitted the 2021 agreement. Just make sure to update any outdated information as you go along. To see the agreement details, you'll need to click the plus or minus sign to expand or collapse that section. Next, we'll scroll down the page to see the next set of information. We ask for two sets of addresses and contact information. First is the billing details. This is who and where the awarded supplier should send a salt order invoice. Then we need the delivery details, where the salt will be delivered and who is the on-site contact at that location. Now let's focus on the quantities you need to agree to. Start by defining your stockpile capacity. Then identify how many tons you'll need during the initial ordering window and the window ordering for the winter. Remember, these definitions we talked about earlier. A page gives you helpful information about the initial time period of the window's dates. You can see that initial period is from August 1st to October 31st. For each section on the agreement, you must fill in the quantity of tons. Even if it's zero, the total numbers will need to match the sum of your initial and winter quantities. Once you have entered these numbers, the system automatically populates the total tons. You'll see the quantities you agree to from the previous contract year. These aren't salt orders. This is just submitted, from last year's agreement. Next, click on the plus to expand the signature details. Click the acknowledgement box, then you will see the name and title of the person submitting the agreement. Once you're filling it out on behalf of your boss or say your roadmaster, check the on behalf of box. At the top of the page, under the intending to be legally bound section, you'll enter your boss's or roadmaster's name. But in the signature details, you'll still enter your name and title on behalf of. Finally, on the left, you'll see three buttons: a save, send, and email, and print receipt letter. You won't see these during the actual submission. During submission, you'll click the submit button. Since the SALT window is open right now, you will see. Again, that's what I mentioned. We use an example from a few years ago because of this. But once you submit, you'll see the word submitted at the top of the page. Now I'm kind of going to turn the presentation over to Pete. Pete?
Hello, everybody. What I'm going to be doing is talking about how to search the marketplace to find contracts and solicitations and your different stuff. And this is mainly going to be focused for our suppliers and not for our members, but it's in-field information for members as well. First of all, the marketplace portal is the one-stop shop for bidding, awards, and contract information. Key features include solicitations. That's where you can search and view current opportunities, solicit tabulations, and overview of suppliers and pricing for previous solicitations. Those are not official awards. The awards, also it's a list of all recent awards and responsive solicitations. You can search contracts, and this is going to be useful also for your members because you guys can search up to look to see which contracts are COSTARS enabled, and you can take a look to see how to, if there's anything out there available. ITQs. Now, this is a description of what they call a invitation to qualify contract, and those are kind of a Pennsylvania special thing where we sign up everybody up, and those are multiple award vendors. And so any member, any vendor on the contract can participate in those in the what we call request for quotes on a large contract, and it basically gives the agencies and if they're COSTARS enabled, COSTARS contracts to find vendors who can provide a service. And there's also upcoming procurements, and that has a list of anything that's coming up in the next probably like year or two. That's out there, and sometimes, and it's good and useful to look in there to see what's coming up. And sometimes it has approximate dates, sometimes it doesn't, but that's a way you can see if there's something coming up. So right here on the Supplier Service Center, this is where our location is. They'll put the links in the chat in our materials right here. But this is kind of like the kind of a landing page for entering any information you'd like to know about how to do bidding. So first of all, there's the bidding, and that's links to eMarketplace, links to guides how to navigate eMarketplace, how to find bidding opportunities on eMarketplace. There's a video. And there's also a guide on how to locate and respond to bids. There's a guide in Spanish as well. And there's also a video on how to locate and find and respond to bids in the PS Supplier portal. And there's also a login for our e-alerts, which is our notification system we run through email to let people know about business opportunities. There's also here something called the Jagger system, and the Jagger is how we certain large complex procurements are done through the Jagger system, and it's also where you sign up for all ITQs. And again, there's some guides down below on the links there on how to get to the Jagger system, how to respond to a bid they call events, but how to respond to an event and how to get qualified as an ITQ as well. And there's some videos in there as well. So. This is what eMarketplace looks like. Again, this is your basic landing page. So you have the solicitation tabulations, awards, contract search, and a couple other things on there. The main ones that you're going to use the most are going to be solicitations, solicitation tabulations, awards, and searching contracts. So right there's the solicitation tab, and that's where you go. You click to find solicitations. So at the very top here, and looks at solicitations, what I have outlined in red there is like all the different things that are out there. So you have a solicitation number, that is how you're going to respond to it or find thing. The type of solicitation, whether it's be an IFB or invitation for bid or RFP or request for proposal, et cetera, et cetera. Title of solicitation, a description, the agency it's for, and then the county it's located in. You have amended date, that's the last time they amended the solicitation. They have a start date and then the due date. And the due date is when the bid is due to be closed. There's a bid opening date, and that is opening date is not when the bid opens for bidding. That is when all the bids are opened. We don't really, that's call back to the old days when we used to have to we get bids, you get a bunch of envelopes and you have to open all the bids. So that's why it's called the bid opening date. But that is the when there's basically after it's due, then they take a look at the bids. That's the bid opening date. Status, usually it says if it's open, active, extended, whatever. And then there's contact person at the very end. So once you click on the actual solicitation itself, though there's some important details on there. And I think at the top you can see the solicitation number, the description or whatever. The most important things you want to look at here are the contact information. So you have the first name, Chelsea Pottinger, their phone number and their email. If you have questions about the bid itself, like certain things like, if something's not clear, or if you have questions about what are they looking for, whatever, you can always email or call them. And then the information itself down below, there's the start date. So this one started on was posted on April 10th, and it was due on May 1st. So that gives the due date and the start date and the due date. Once you decide to find something you want to bid on, you'll need to go to the PA Supplier portal, and this is how you respond to solicitation. You do not respond inside eMarketplace, but the PA Supplier portal, and again, there's links to that on the Supplier Service Center for bidding. So you'll need to type your username and password, and that'll get you into the portal. once you're in the portal, and this is the most important thing I can stress here is when you're doing searching for a solicitation, type the solicitation number in. Now those fields below, some of them will automatically populate, and that's going to trip you up. So what you want to do is clear every single thing out there except for just the solicitation number. Once the solicitation number is in there, you're good to go, and it'll pop up down below, and you can start responding to the solicitation. Now, ITQ applications in Jagger. Now certain contracts are qualified under the ITQ contract is authorized by the procurement code. All ITQ contracts, except for the PennDOT rented equipment ITQ, have transitioned to the Jagger system. PennDOT rented equipment, if you're interested in that, there you can search for that and then reach out to the person who runs that over at PennDOT. But I know that's probably a big one for a lot of you guys, but right now, that is not in Jagger, but all the rest of them are. And if you look on there, again, to the bidding site or copy this thing right here, it'll give you more information about all the different ITQs, all the contracts, all the different goods and services that are on them, and if some of them are COSTARS. And a number of them are COSTARS enabled, allowing our members to purchase, allowing them to access utilize the contracts for purchases from the vendors that are qualified on the contract. Again, this is where the information is on the ITQ documents on our website. And it has a whole list of just the ITQ application guide, the experience form, the different materials you need to do. And again, there's also the COSTARS election to participate. That is if certain contracts are and you want to be on COSTARS and sell to COSTARS members, you just need to fill that paperwork out and send it into your contact along with all your other information with the ITQ. For example, here's the tree trimming and stump removal. So tree trimming and stump removal is a big one. There's a statement of work that lists all the different ways you can that we go through and what the different services underneath that contract. So there's tree trimming, bush trimming, actual trimming of or cutting removal of trees, and then removing a stump. And they're all different services and they're all different qualifications in it. So because you might have a case where your stump removal guy might be a guy who just removes stumps. Well, you still sign up for this contract, but you're just going to be looking for ones to do stump removal. And say you're a tree trimmer, but you don't do stump removal. Well, that's fine. You can just qualify for just the tree trimming on there. And again, the most important person is your contact information there. This is old. I think Stephanie still does it, but in case she doesn't, you take a look to see it on the website for the most updated information. And that's your email address and phone number. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to them and they'd be happy to answer them. Again, here's the links to Jagger, how to register for Jagger. It is a third-party site. It's not run by the Commonwealth of PA, so we ask that people log into that. Login's a little more complicated than logging into anything else or registering is, but once you get in there, it's not too bad. And again, this is what it looks like once you're inside Jagger as your view of it. You see it has on the left-hand side there, it has your your summary or whatever, and you basically go in there and choose options, follow the guides, and you'll be able to go in and then fill all of the paperwork out and hopefully get qualified for an ITQ or respond to public events.
All right, thank you, Pete. If you're looking for events, trainings, or other helpful resources as a COSTARS member or supplier, we've got you covered. This is on our website. It has events, anything else you might need. And if you can't find an answer in the resources we provide, we're always here to help. We have a toll-free phone line and an email account that is monitored every day from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. I'm going to pass it off to Jean to finish up the presentation.
Well, thank you, everybody. That basically wraps up our slides. We'd love to hear from you. So if you have questions we didn't get to answer, just drop them in the chat. If anything new comes up, go ahead and just, give us a call. And we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.